Welcome to No Tooth Tony Interviews. The purpose of this channel is to give women a chance to share their voice without any judgment. Please respect all of the guests featured on my show. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Alright, so today I have Miss Brianne Davis, and she's a actor, she's a author, and she's a podcast host. Miss Davis, I found Miss Davis through Instagram, and I recommend anybody who would like to get any type of motivation or inspiration to please follow her. You will fall in love with her page. And also, she has a book called Can you please say the name of your book, Miss Davis?
Yes, it's really long. It's called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I highly encourage that you read that too. I personally haven't read the book, but I've been watching other people who interviewed Miss Davis talk about how great the book has been. Yes, ma'am. So, Miss Davis, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I would like you to know that I'm very grateful that you gave me the opportunity to have you on my show. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm great to be here and great to, share my experience with other people. I have been an actor for 20 years in the business, a working actor, and recently I hit 10 years of sobriety and sex and love addiction. I wrote an article for HuffPost, coming pretty much outing myself for no reason. And it was like my higher power or God was telling me to be of service on a bigger level. And when I wrote that, it got a million and a half hits in less than a month, and which really helped me write my book and just bringing my story out into the open to help other people not be, shame and guilt and all that from being a sex and love addict, and that a woman is a sex and love addict, and that it's not a shameful disease. It's running rampant in our younger society. So I guess I'm like the new face for, a recovering sex and love addict.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is, how long have you been a podcast host?
Oh, that's a great question. Nobody's asked me that. I have been a podcast host since last August. I never wanted to be a podcast host. I don't even like the sound of my voice when I watch my movies or shows. I don't really watch myself. So what happened was I woke up from the pandemic and I had this feeling like, oh my God, Secret Life podcast, where I give other people a chance to let go of their secrets, their past trauma, things they hold in. And I just bought a recorder and a mic and started recording my friends, and people were anonymous, and then my celebrity friends came on, and I got over 125 interviews, all walks of life, suicide attempts, getting attacked by a police officer, sexually assaulted by a police officer, denying their ethnicity, using abortion as birth control, men having eating disorders. I mean, literally, we have every secret in the book. So, yeah, I just last week did Olivia Munn and her health secret, and this week I have Jana Kramer on talking about her compare and despair. And I just really try to give everyone a chance to voice their pain, because it's really for the listeners. For me, like the people that don't have a voice, I want them to feel like they're not alone, and that's my way of giving back to the world right now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
And
think
it's called
that's
Secret Life. Sorry, I didn't even think
that's
I said the
okay.
title, Secret Life.
Yes, ma'am. That's okay. That's okay. My next question for you is, how long have you been an author?
Oh, geez, these are good questions. Just recently, my book just came out, like less than a week ago, and here's another thing: I never wanted to be an author. I have
Wait.
a learning disability. I have ADHD. I'm dyslexic. I just never thought about writing, and my husband, he kept like like a year ago being like, there's this writing course, I think you should take it. And I was like, what are you talking about, crazy? Like, I am not interested in writing, just give me the dialogue and I'll say it. And he just kept mentioning it over and over again, and by the sixth time I'm like, fine, I'll take the class, leave me alone. And the book came out of me in 45 days, the first draft. Like it was a 90-day class, and it flew out of me, and it became this other thing where it's like my chance to give back to the community. I wanted to write a book that, when you're looking at sex and love addiction and reading on it and getting books online, everything is so clinical and educational. And when you read it, I didn't retain stuff, and I get so frustrated after a page, I want to throw it against the wall. So I really wanted to write a book where it's a story. It's the story of Roxanne, which, Roxanne can be me, but Roxanne can be you or anybody else. Like a lot of people do what Roxanne does, and you follow Roxanne on her journey as a C-list actress working in Hollywood, and her crash, her bottom, where she gets caught cheating on two guys in her driveway. And you go on this year journey with her through her first year of recovery in sex and love addiction. And she comes up with these 10 rules she lives by. And it's, 50-50% my story and some of it my imagination. It's like a memoir, self-help, chick lit kind of book.
I really like that memoir, self-help, chick
lit, like, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Um, my next question for you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say you have been acting for over 20 years?
Yeah.
Man, Miss
Yeah.
Davis, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you being an actor for 20 years, what are some things that you had to find out later on in the acting business that you wish people would have told you when you first started out?
The first thing I would say to people, if they're interested in acting, is you have to be prepared that it's never going to fulfill you. Like, every role I got, every bigger job I got, I thought, like, oh, now I feel like I made it. Now I felt, and the business cannot fulfill you in any way, shape, or form. Getting a job cannot fulfill you, because what happens is the job ends. No matter how long it is, the job ends, and you have to go back and go back on, to get another job. It's constantly rejection over and over again. And you walk into these sets where people become your family very quickly. And then, a month later, when a movie ends or a show ends 6 months later, that family's gone and everybody goes. So it's this false sense of intimacy, I would say, that you cannot rely on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am. My next question for you is, what have been three of your most favorite acting memories so far?
I would say the role of Lena Graves on Six, for 2 years playing that character. She was very proper, she wasn't overtly sexual. She was very, she had a God and everything, and she was there for her husband. I really loved playing that part because it was a different part than I've ever played. So that was a fun role to sink my teeth in, because I'm nothing like her. And then the second one, I would say my favorite is this movie I just did recently called Secret Life of a Celebrity Surrogate. My husband directed it for Lifetime, and the character Ava is like the craziest character I've ever played. No, I'm not kidding. Like, she is all over the place, and it was so much fun to actually play crazy, but like crazy real. And working with my husband is always fun. And then the third one I really loved was my role on Lucifer, Detective Dancer. She was like, working with Tom and working with Lauren was so much fun, and they're so funny, and we had such a great time on set. And that character was like four characters in a role. It was the best time ever working on it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I keep looking down because as you're writing, I'm writing more things that I'm
Oh
doing.
yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
ma'am. Okay, so my next question for you is, whenever you do your acting in every different acting set or movie, or I don't know anything about film, so please forgive me. But
No worries.
okay, so whenever I do these interviews, for an example, if it's a sad interview, I might leave sad. If it's a happy interview, I'm gonna leave really really happy. Um, With that being said, whenever you do your acting, as
Mhm.
soon as your final set in for the day, or for the set in for for the end of the acting term, because you said all acting comes to an end, well, all shows
Right.
come to an end. So
Yeah.
whenever it's your end term, do you take some of those feelings from your character, or do you still say the same person?
So for me, how I
I'm
roll.
sorry, did I make sense on that question? Because that's kind of
Oh yeah,
weird.
I totally got that
Okay,
question. Yeah.
okay,
So when I work, a lot of people are method actors and they like bring the character with them and they become it. They take it, to their hotel rooms or, or they like lock themselves. I am not like that. I am an actor where I'll do my work at home and work on the script, memorize the lines, get all that down. And then when I step on the stage or step on set, I become that character then, and I really just put myself in the shoes of the character. If she's sad, then I become sad. If she's happy, I become happy, and I just literally put myself in the position of whatever that scene calls for. And when they say cut, I take it off. It's like a jacket I just take off. So when I'm done with the role, like at the end of the day or the end of the movie, it's literally I take off the wardrobe and I throw it, or I don't throw, I'm not one of those actors. I hang it back on the hanger for the wardrobe department and I put everything neat and I'm done with that role. I literally leave it there on set. I do
yes.
not take it home with me and I do not like luxuriate in the character at all.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I wish I could do that. I'm not there yet, Miss Davis. I'm still learning.
It's
Um, I
okay.
definitely don't have 20 years of experience. I'm barely 20 something.
You're a baby.
That's awesome, Miss Davis. Like I applaud you. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is, okay. You with your book. Um,
Hmm.
What is okay? What is one chapter that somebody needs to read if they only get to hold your book for 10 minutes in the library?
Oh my God, that is the best question ever. Okay, that's a hard one. Okay, my favorite chapter is chapter 8, because it's a roller coaster ride of a chapter. Like it literally, I visualized it in a TV series or a movie when I wrote it. So I would say chapter 8. Chapter one's pretty dang good too, because you get to like go on a venture on that first chapter. But then I always say the best chapters to learn and grow from are chapters 6, 7, and 8. Those were the most difficult for me to write. I mean, 5, 6, and 7 were the worst ones to rewrite because it really looks at our character defects, and that is really hard to look at. Your
Yeah.
flaws. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But you said you said 5, 6, and 7 are some of the hardest to write. But chapter 8 is one of the best ones. That
Yeah,
was the
I love
one.
chapter 8
Yes,
and
ma'am.
chapter 1. Honestly, chapter 2 and 3 are really good too. So I don't know. And listen, I'm not tooting my own horn. Like I said, I know it's not even me. I don't even think I wrote the book. I feel like something bigger than me wrote the book because I never wanted to write a book.
Yes, ma'am. I would love to hear your husband's answer on why out the blue last year he said, "Honey, I think you need to take a writing course." I want to know what made him think of that.
I asked him that the other day. We talked about it,
What?
and he said, honestly, I don't know. He's like, I feel like it was some like God or his higher power was telling him to tell me, but he just knew because we were developing a TV show with my other friend, Jana Kramer. And I was putting some of my stories from being a sex and love addict in it, and he just felt like I had more stories to tell and I wasn't getting the opportunity to tell them. Like it just be mine, not, our production. So that's what he said to me, which I was really fascinated with too.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And what coming? Okay, you said you have one guest coming on your show this week.
Mm-hmm.
What are some future plans for your show for the rest of the year? What some upcoming events or anything that's happening?
On the podcast or just in general?
Well, okay. It's just I was talking about the podcast, but now I mean
Oh
just in
yeah, I love
general.
the podcast.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
I have some amazing shows in the next 2 months. I have shows all sex and love addiction I'm doing for the next month. You know, men and women, men that can't be in a relationship and are workaholics, to women choosing unavailable man and her journey out of that. Then, you know, my really good friend, a lot of them, all of them change their names, so you will not know who they are. I have a lot of anonymous guests, but one of my good friends, she's a gay woman, and she would try to turn straight women gay and still, you know, cheat with their boyfriends. It was so fascinating. And then I have like another woman that came on that she became a love addict, but she was sexually assaulted by her OBGYN while she was giving birth. So I have a,
What?
oh yeah, that one was really difficult. I think we cried a couple times during that interview.
Mm,
And then I have another one, a man that's addicted to massage parlors and doesn't know how to get out of that cycle. And then I have another sex and love addict one, a female one, that she used therapy to get out of her addiction. I use therapy and 12-step program. You know, everybody has a different path. And then we have a gentleman that's a sexual anorexic, which means doesn't have sex at all, doesn't date, that he's become anorexic. So we have so many amazing ones coming up this next month and a half that I cannot wait for people to hear.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm excited too. Um, my next question for you, Miss Davis, is what is your zodiac sign?
Ooh, I am on the cusp, actually. I am Aries and Taurus. April 21st is my birthday, and I feel like I lean more towards Taurus. I'm very bullheaded and kind of stubborn, which I've gotten better at. But yeah, I'm a Taurus.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My next question for you is what are your five favorite foods?
Ooh, geez. Okay, let's see. I love sushi. I'm a huge sushi eater. I like an albacore spicy tempura roll. I love pizza. My son is obsessed with pizza, but I make him like the cauliflower one, so it's healthy. So when we get him like a real pizza, he doesn't like it, which is hilarious. I love sweet potato fries. I love donuts. I'm a huge donut. The best place in Los Angeles is Colorado Donuts in Echo Park. Best donuts ever. And then I think if I had another favorite thing, if I could eat the last thing, would be a corn dog at Disneyland. Oh, it's the best thing in the world. I'm like a kid when I eat. That just sounded like the worst diet ever. I don't eat those things all the time, but they are delicious.
That sounds like the best snacks to eat at the movies, though.
Yeah, right. I'm one of those people where I'm like a 10-year-old at heart.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is if you could visit five countries, where would they be?
Oh, 5 countries. Let's see. I haven't been to London. That's one place I really want to go is London. I haven't been to Switzerland. I want to go there. Australia, Sydney, Australia. Tokyo, I haven't been to. And I would love to go back to Barcelona. I've been a couple of times, but it's my favorite city in the whole world. I love Barcelona. I would live there if I could.
Yes,
If I
ma'am.
could act in Barcelona all the time, I would.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is what is your message to the future generation of women?
Oh, I love that. My message is be you're enough, just as you are. You're enough. You don't need a man to fill you or a partner to fill you. You don't need a job. You don't need to be a mom. You don't need to be married. You are literally okay just as you are and powerful just as you are.
Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is what would you like to tell your future self 20 years from now?
Not to worry so much. Not to be worried so much. I keep imagining on my deathbed, am I going to worry about this little thing, or does it really matter? And every time I do that, I it calms me down and seems like, because right now sometimes I can be addicted to worry. I just like my brain just goes to that worry place.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is are there any shout outs that you would like to make to your friends or to your family?
Oh, well, I love to to give a shout out to my husband always because he's the other part of Secret Life.
May I please cut you off for a second?
Yeah, yeah.
Your husband, Mr. Davis, you did a great job setting up Valentine's Day, man. I seen the ribbons and the balloons and the champagne. She said, I get champagne early today. Yes. Mr. Davis, you did an awesome job setting up Valentine's Day. I want to applaud you because,
Oh,
yeah, Mr. Davis, I don't. I'm not married, but one day if I ever do get married, I would love to take your ideal because you set it up perfectly. You did an awesome
oh,
job. I didn't mean to cut you off, Miss Davis. I
it's
try not
okay.
to, but I wanted. I didn't want that one to leave my thoughts. So go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's I love that. No, he's a great man. He's a great man, but he knows not to buy me flowers on Valentine's Day because I hate flowers on Valentine's Day because they mark them up 80%, and I'm like, do not waste your money on flowers. They will die. So, he got me flowers the first year we were together. We've been together for 16 years, and he I wasn't so nice. I was like, "Why did you do that?" Like, but yeah. So yeah, my husband Mark, he is the other half of Secret Life. He produces the podcast with me. He has, helped me with the book a couple of times. He has 32 years of sobriety and AA. He's just a really good person. So I always like to give a shout out to him because he works so hard and he's, the man behind the scenes right now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Shout out, Mr. Mark. My next question for you is, what would you like to tell Mr. Mark 20 years from now?
That he was the best partner a woman could ask for. He lifted me up. He was my rock, and he made me a better person almost every day.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you is, what would you like people to know about you before they go to your social medias?
I think what I like people to know about me that I'm really just trying to be of service to humanity. I think for the longest time I was addicted and I was selfish and self-seeking, and really on a daily basis what I try to do is be of service to other people, and that if anybody's struggling out there with sex and love addiction or finding themselves in tumultuous, dramatic relationship they can't get out of or don't know why they can't stop, they can reach out to me and DM me, and I'll help them as much as I can and send them to the right place where they can get help.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How do you feel women are represented in the world?
Poorly. I think women I think women, not saying men that aren't, but I think women are very strong and they're very determined and very powerful. We give birth to children, we take care of them, we feed them, we also have jobs. And for a woman to get paid so much less than a man, I think is not okay. I think we would, the world would be a better place if more women were in power. I think there should be like equal men and equal women. I'm not saying women should rule the world, but I definitely think more women need to be represented in our government and in politics. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yes, ma'am. That was a great answer. My
Thanks.
next question, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My next question for you, Miss Davis, is what do you think needs to change for women to be treated equally?
I think for people to stop using men as or women as objects. But here I am, a sex and love addict, using men as objects. I've done the same thing. I use men to have power and control over them because I felt so powerless in myself. So I feel like if we respect women and don't use them as sexual objects and not like a piece of arm candy or something to conquer, or I think it would be better. And I'm only saying that because I've done it too. I used to do that, and it is not a great way to live or use people. That's what we do as sex and love addicts. We use people just like an alcoholic uses a bottle of liquor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My last question for you, Miss Davis, is
Mm-hmm.
what would you do if you were the president?
Oh my God. I would make universal health care. I would, hire, put wages higher, 15, at least $15 or more. I would make it available where, big corporations weren't allowed to have lobbyists and big corporations weren't allowed to have people in politics. I would make it where it didn't have to be two-thirds of to to impeach a president, there is many things I would do different than what has been done.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. With Miss Brianne Davis for president, y'all. You have my
Oh,
vote. Miss Davis, I would like to tell you thank you so much for coming on my show. Is
oh, you're
there,
welcome.
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. Is there anything that I didn't ask you, or is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to say?
I think the last thing, if you do enjoy books about Hollywood, being an actor, that will you'll learn a lot from my book, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. It's exclusively on Amazon right now. In a couple of months, we'll put it everywhere, but we are doing exclusive with Amazon. So please go out and get it. The Kindle version's $5.99, the book's $16, and it just really has helped me be of service to other people and help them understand the disease of sex and love addiction. And I just had one more thing. My mom called me the other day after she got done reading it, and she was crying, and she said, "Wow, I really understand your disease now, and I didn't before." And you know, I realize I have some of those characteristics also, and it has helped me reflect on my own self. So that to me was like the best gift ever. And I couldn't ask for a better. So if you're struggling out there, please, reach out to me. Go get the book, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And thank you so much for letting me come on and share my story with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. The Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict by Miss
Yeah.
Brianne Davis.